All right, so in the wake of the mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas, at that elementary school, we have seen plenty of takes coming out from Republicans, from reactionary conservatives on exactly what they think should be the potential solutions to address the glaring problem of gun violence and also mass shootings that we have here in the United States and that don't really exist in other parts of the world. But I wanted to watch through and just give you guys a real-time reaction to this compilation that was put together here by Kat Abu on the last 24 hours since this school shooting took place, and let's get a little bit of a glimpse into some of the deranged shit that conservatives have been pushing over on Fox News in response to this.
Always for an armed security guard,
armed school safety officer,
armed deputy,
arming teachers,
potentially arm and prepare and train teachers and other administrators,
armed school staffers,
bring in policemen,
training the students themselves.
Okay, so not only do they want armed security guards and armed school safety officers and armed deputies and armed, all of these other various positions that are going to be armed, essentially turning schools into little tiny mini versions of police states, which already has been completely demonstrably proven to be ineffective. I mean, in the school shooting that they're commentating over in this clip, right? They're talking about the Uvalde elementary school shooting in which there was armed security guards. There were multiple armed school staffers who were armed, like the, school safety officer who was there on scene, as well as multiple other Uvalde Police Department people who were there on the scene, who had an opportunity to confront the shooter, and like we talked about in my last video, just completely failed at every single level to, number one, prevent him from going into the school in the first place. But even once he entered the school, there was literally a 40-minute to an hour period where the cops were just sitting outside harassing the parents of some of the victims and preventing them from going in to try to save their own kids, as they were just standing outside waiting for a tactical team backup unit to come in and actually go in to confront the shooter. So, I mean, all of these different suggestions were just proved in this specific case to be completely ineffective. Clearly, having armed security officers or having policemen stationed at all of these schools, that's not going to be an effective approach, especially in this case where the cops were basically just complete and utter feckless cowards. But that wasn't the first time that we saw them engage in that type of behavior. I mean, if you guys go back and look all the way at the Parkland school shooting as well, back in, I think it was 2018, the police officer who was stationed at that school as well just completely dipped and just left when he noticed that there was a school shooting happening. So again, clearly these are not effective approaches, but they continue here with, suggestions to arm teachers themselves, as if like that should be the primary function of a teacher, right? The same group of people, the same occupation who conservatives don't even trust to teach our kids about, race and issues of, racial history within the United States. They don't trust them to do that, but somehow they trust them to be trained to be armed and respond in like a Rambo type situation to a school shooter. Just completely fucking ridiculous.
Retired military, retired law enforcement, we can offer them tax breaks.
If you give law enforcement the opportunity to impose martial law, we can guarantee safety and security.
Martial law. Okay, martial law coming from the same conservatives who are constantly pretending like they're the big freedom people. They're the ones who want to defend your civil liberties. This man is literally calling for martial law, okay, for students to be armed themselves, okay, as if any of that is coherent in any way, shape, or form. But martial law, okay, definitely, freedom-loving people over here just wanting to dramatically expand the police state instead of, I don't know, maybe reducing the amount of guns that we have circulating in this country, but they continue.
Securing that perimeter, providing kind of a ring of steel.
You have the fences, you have the main administration building, and then you have wide gaps on either side. The fencing's not very high.
Where the door's locked, bulletproof glass. All of these shootings have happened at the same time that we see religion and Christian values and Judeo-Christian values declining.
Judeo-Christian values, okay? Christian values, which have famously throughout history never led to any violence whatsoever, okay? Yeah, that's the problem, is that we didn't sit these kids down, and who knows how many of these kids, or, the shooter in question here, he was probably religious himself, but, I mean, how many, religious fundamentalist conservatives have we seen engage in these same types of shootings, or in the same, same type of violence, essentially? I mean, just completely ridiculous, both on a modern context and also on a historical context. Obviously, this isn't an issue of, a lack of religiosity in this country. first of all, we already have a vast majority of this country that is religious. Clearly, that's not having any effect whatsoever. But, what is the point there? What is she really trying to say? That, the problem is that nobody sat this kid down before he went and did the mass shooting and said, hey, did you know that God actually thinks that it's bad and it's a sin to, go massacre innocent school children? Like, as if that would have made a difference here. Just completely fucking ridiculous.
Anybody who decides that they want to do something like this should immediately know that attacking a school is a death sentence for them.
Kids.
But it was. The shooter literally died. Did that deter him in any way? No, it didn't. He died in this. He was shot by law enforcement, 40 minutes, an hour after the fact, but he did die. So how is that a deterrent in any way?
They're afraid of being the school snitch.
We have to stop letting these schools be gun-free zones.
People need to put their phones down and get to know the person next to them.
We have spent billions of dollars on COVID-related measures for our schools. Let's take some of that money and divert it over to hardening these soft targets.
A lot of these private schools, they take security way more serious.
Parents, take your children to church. This anti-police narrative is forcing people not to call police.
What? What the fuck are you talking about? There were multiple police officers who were on the scene while it was happening. The parents of some of the victims were begging the police to go in to confront the shooter, and they completely refused to. What are you talking about? There were 911 calls that were put in place like an hour before the eventual killing of the shooter. They were calling the police. There were police on scene, and they were doing fucking nothing. So what are you talking about? What does this have to do with a hatred of police? Just completely fucking insane. If anything, the hatred of the police in this situation was 100% the responsibility of the police themselves, who completely refused to act in this situation.
A series of interlocking doors at the school entrance that are triggered by a tripwire, and it traps the shooter like a rat.
Okay, so his suggestion was to set up a complex web of Home Alone style contraptions to trap the shooter in any given hallway while he's trying to go around to different class. What the fuck are they talking about?
God is the answer to that.
There's a moral rot going on that we all need to dig in and try to address.
I vote for decreasing social media exposure.
We need to start focusing on mental health.
Tell us why you think...
Oh, that's kind of interesting. Focusing on mental health. Yeah, maybe we should start focusing a little bit more on mental health in this country. Maybe, I don't know, radical proposal here. We could have universal health care in this country that's free at the point of service so that anybody who is struggling with mental health issues would have free and universal access to, the help that they need from doctors or professionals in order to maybe prevent something like this from happening. But quick follow-up question. Do you guys support any measures that expand access to healthcare? No, of course they fucking don't. And actually, if you go and look at Greg Abbott and his track record on this, I think it was just last year or within the last couple of years that he actually cut the funding, the state funding for mental health services. Okay, so again, they have no answers here. The only legitimate, even fractionally legitimate answer that they have responded with as a potential solution to this has been the mental health issue. But even on that, they don't want to fucking act on it. They're completely against anything that would actually assist people in getting access to those resources that are needed in the area of mental health. So, completely fucking disingenuous again.
I think it's important to pray in a moment like this.
It calls for faith and prayer.
Why is it that schools aren't protected in the same way that airports?
There are some people who don't want police officers in schools with guns because other people are triggered.
Assault rifle and enhanced body armor.
A notification system to let everybody in the school know what's happening.
Single point of entry.
I don't like talking about this stuff as it happens because I don't think it contributes anything positive.
Parents should be held accountable.
Yeah, well, you definitely don't contribute anything positive to the conversation, but other people are trying to have somewhat more serious conversations about potential policy solutions that we could implement at a time like this. I mean, listen, at a fundamental level, all you have to do is go and look at the United States compared to literally the rest of the entire world, developed countries or, even undeveloped countries as well, okay? No other country on the face of the planet has the amount of guns that we have in circulation. We have more guns in this country, okay, that are purchased on a yearly basis than we have people, okay? We have 129.5 guns per U.S. citizen, okay? That is the situation we have. The number 2 country on that list is Yemen, and even they only have 52 guns per 100 people in their population. So no other country on the face of the planet has the amount of guns that we have, and no other country on the face of the planet has the amount of mass shootings that we have, or anywhere even fractionally close to the amount of gun violence and mass shootings that we have. And notice how none of their proposals here have anything to do with guns. They'll propose everything. They'll propose, more police funding, more, having students be armed and trained themselves to be like Navy SEALs to respond to this. Talking about building a ring of steel, higher fences, locked doors, a single point of entry to the school, as if that would fucking help anything. That's just a fire hazard. Go talk to the fire department about having that single point of entry in a school. Talking about God, talking about Home Alone style contraptions and traps that they can set up within the schools. Every single thing other than guns. And to the extent that they do mention guns in any of these clips, they're talking about introducing more guns to the situation. Okay, just again, completely deranged here.
For raising their children properly.
Ballistic blankets.
We just don't have the resources to get law enforcement there quickly.
How about an executive order?
To get law enforcement there quickly, they were there before the shooting started. What? That is the Attorney General. That was Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas. Okay, talking about how cops don't have enough resources while they have record police budgets right now. In Uvalde, Texas, the statistic that I've seen floating around is that 40% of their budget is going towards the police department. 40%, okay, almost half of their entire budget for Uvalde, Texas is going towards their police department. That somehow is not enough, even though, again, they had police officers who were on site, who had an opportunity for an hour to go confront the shooter with their various assortments of, military-grade weaponry that they have at their disposal.
For these mental health facilities.
We have to start rebuilding this country and returning to God.
I arm myself everywhere I legally can.
It's up to you to protect yourself.
I mean, holy fuck. I mean, that was even worse somehow than I thought that it was going to be. But that was literally, as the tweet was pointing out, that was literally in the last 24 hours, okay? Every single proposal that they just put forward there was either completely deranged and would very obviously be ineffective, or it was completely vague. Things like, we need to return to God, as if that means anything at all in any way whatsoever. And then the third solution that they're putting forward is, of course, we need to flood more guns into the United States, and everybody needs to be armed, including police officers. We got to have metal detectors. We got to have tripwires. We got to have one single point of entry. We got to have teachers that are armed. We got to have students that are armed, and give them these ballistic proof blankets and all of this shit. What are we talking about? What the fuck is wrong with this country? Okay, we have a situation where we are the sole country on the face of the planet that has this issue, and yet it's somehow impossible to talk about the various policy solutions that have been demonstrably proven to work in other countries. Now, I'm not saying that any individual gun control policy is going to be 100% airtight. Obviously it's not, but we can start the process of working on the margins to reduce the level that it is easy for people who are going to go do these mass shootings to get this type of military grade hardware like the AR-15s, etc. We can make improvements on the margins that will reduce the amount of these mass shootings, that will reduce the overall gun violence in this country, and it has to be done at a federal level. I mean, in this country, we literally have Mexican cartels, okay, drug cartels, that go over the border to Texas because it's easier for them to get guns legally here in the United States or illegally here in the United States, and then bring them back over to Mexico, okay? All of the guns that the Mexican cartels are using are made here in the United States. Same goes for Canada. We are exporting guns over the border to Canada, and so if any solution is going to happen on this, it has to come from the top down. It has to be at the federal level, because this state-by-state approach is never going to work. You're just going to have consistent flow of arms across every state in the country. People are going to be able to obtain them across the border in some, nearby state that has completely lax gun laws, and the cycle is just going to continue. So again, I'm not going to pretend like any individual solution is going to 100% solve the problem, but you do things like universal background checks at the federal level. You do things like reinforcing the system that we have in place in order to enforce those background checks and make sure that they are up to date, that they're kept with. You could do things like a mandatory waiting period. You could do things like banning AR-15s and other various assortments of assault rifles and things like that. You could do so many different smaller approaches to this that would be feasible, that are overwhelmingly popular with the American people, and that would start the process of making it a little bit more difficult for mass shootings like this to take place in the first place. But unfortunately, that's just not really in the cards. We don't have a Democratic Party that's willing to take a firm stand against Republicans or against the corporate members, the right-wing members of their own party, and we have Republicans who are coming out here and throwing out every single solution under the sun, except addressing the core fundamental problem, which is the guns in the first place.